Mercedes Mone has gone after Vince McMahon and WWE in regards to why she departed from the company. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what she had to say, why it's so significant, and what you really need to know at the end of the day as to why did Mercedes Mone, a.k.a. Sasha Banks, walk out of WWE in May of 2022. Mercedes Mone has opened up about the day that her wrestling career
How you plan on taking the women's
forever,
division to another level?
She left World Wrestling Entertainment. Her departure from the company that year came after a disagreement with Vince McMahon, which resulted in her and Naomi walking out of the company. They were stripped of the women's tag team titles, later got their release before Mone went to New Japan the following January. There she debuted at Wrestle Kingdom 17. On January 4th, 2023, the following year, she signed with All Elite Wrestling. While appearing on The Breakfast Club, Mone went in and discussed her decision to leave the company. Now, you gotta keep in mind, this is Mercedes Mone, who had headlined a WrestleMania, had headlined multiple premium live events, aka pay-per-view events, who had been part of some of the biggest matches of women's wrestling in the company's history, who had held multiple championships, who was one half of the reasons why WWE even introduced women's tag team championships alongside Bayley. She was up there with the likes of Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Bayley in terms of top draws, big attractions for the company in the women's division. She transcended women's wrestling, going into acting and modeling and other business ventures. She was truly one of their biggest stars, one of their pillars, one of the women's four horsewomen. You get the gist. Mercedes Mone was someone that was huge for this company, a megastar for this company, who brought in outside eyeballs to Vince McMahon's own product. That's where it picks up. That's where things get interesting. Mercedes Mone, she's doing big things in All Elite Wrestling. She did big things in New Japan, but I think at the end of the day, fans will always remember Mercedes Mone as Sasha Banks and everything that she did in WWE. This is what she had to say. I left for many different reasons. A lot of personal stuff happened with myself and the chairman at the time. I didn't like how he talked to me and how I was talked down to. I was like, you know what? It's time to legit listen to your soul and heart. There was a light that came to me one day, and I just left WWE. When following up on McMahon allegedly talking down to her, Mone said, yeah, a little crazy. The day he talked to me was a little crazy. It was enough for my source of light to come into my body and go, if you stay, that's not okay. And be like, you know what? If you stay, that's not okay. This is for the rest of your life. What are you going to teach your kids? What are you going to teach people? If you just feel like this from words after being there for 10 years, you got to stand up for yourself. And that's exactly what I did. Just a light, the same light that came to me when I was 10 years old, being like, this is your sole purpose. This is what you're going to do. Another light came to me and be like, you got to walk away and do something better for yourself. A lot to get into there. In terms of how Vince McMahon talked to her, yeah, it's Vince McMahon. And before the Hush Money scandal and before the Janelle Grant stuff, Vince had a reputation of being a dictator, and he controlled what he wanted, and he did what he liked, and yada, yada, yada. And so, yeah, I can 1,000% see Vince dictating and talking down to her and telling her, well, this is what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it. And Mone, who at that point was a big star for them, who had bigger visions for herself, who thought that she could do much bigger things in the world of pro wrestling, was like, you know what? I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong, and I'm going to go do my own thing. So she took her ball and she went home. Now, keep in mind, at the time, the reason for the disagreement, reportedly, was due to the fact that Vince McMahon wanted to put Bayley and Sasha Banks, Sasha Banks and Naomi in a multi-person match, with the idea being that Mone would go over and she would challenge for the women's title on Raw at an upcoming PLE. Naomi would then challenge for the SmackDown women's title, and they would still stay tag team champions. So it's not the worst idea in the world, but if you're looking at it from Monet, who is an advocate for women's tag team wrestling, who's an advocate for the women's tag team titles, coming to her and saying, hey, we know you're champions, but by the way, we want to split you off and y'all are going to go and pursue singles titles. We're going to put the women's tag team titles on the back burner. And oh, by the way, you're going to lose. When you get in these title matches, I can understand why they may have an issue with that, because I can see their point of, look, we're women's tag team champions. You wouldn't book the IC champion or US champion to go up against world champions and have them lose. You want to protect the titles. You want to protect the mid-card or upper mid-card champions. And she felt like the tag team titles were on the same level. And so I get it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, there's been a lot worse things that have been booked by Vince McMahon or suggested from Vince McMahon to talent. Was this the hill to die on? Probably not. But with her saying, I left for many different reasons, a lot of personal things happened between her and Vince. There's a lot more to that. There's a lot more things we don't know about. And that is absolutely something in which Monet has the right to walk away. That is something in which she can walk away. She should walk away if she feels confident in herself that she can go out there and do big things on her own. And if that was the case, and clearly it was, and she felt like that, then take your ball and go home. You're at 1099. You're an independent contractor, right? And so she did. And she became a big star in New Japan. And she was a notable signing by AEW. And whether or not you think that she has landed that is justifiable for her reported contract, that is up to opinion. That is up to debate. You can think she's overrated. I can think that she is justified in where people look at her in the world of pro wrestling. I think she's a huge star. I think she's a great addition to the AEW roster. She's a great addition to the division. She gets interviews and media attention that not a lot of people do on AEW, and that is an asset. Whether or not you think that she is justified by getting the type of money or the type of promo time or the matches or the feuds or the booking or whatever, it's up to debate. I mean, I'd like to hear what you have to say. Do I think that she should go back to WWE? Probably she will one day, but do I think that she needs to do it while she's still active in wrestling? No. I actually hope that she stays in AEW because you need a fine balance of big stars in both promotions, because if not, then you become a monopoly, in which WWE had done for so many years following the demise of WCW. So that is my take on Mercedes Mone.